Which champion has the most skins?
What?
What is the new passive on Ginsu's?
I may have sabotaged the team.
There are 3 champions who only have 1 skin. Name one of those champions. Hello and welcome to Are You Smarter Than an LCS Caster? It's a different edition now. We've got the play-by-plays joining us. Going up against Golden Guardian. This is a trivia game show, so if you've never seen this before, they will be coming up one at a time to try and answer questions. If they buzz in first, they have to answer it alone. If they get it right, great, they get points. If they get it wrong, it goes to the entire enemy team. We have 3 categories today with a final bonus mystery thing at the end. You guys ready?
Yeah,
We're always ready, Mark.
Yeah.
First 2 people up. The
I'll do it.
category is
Get in their flowers.
Okay.
the big mid-season changes is the category.
I haven't looked at the patch yet, so rock and roll.
What is the new timer of Unleashed Teleport?
10 minutes.
Correct!
Damn. That's all right.
We're off to a good start.
Yeah. We're giving that false sense of security.
We're gonna hit him with the CLG strat. Give him fake hope.
All right, you got this, bro. Let's see it.
All right, Fuki.
Here we go. There are 4 new items to League of Legends. Name one of them.
Echoes of Helia.
Echoes of Helia is on the board.
Yeah.
Here we go. There's 4, so we're gonna go back and forth. You have a chance to match here. What is one of the other new items?
Sorry, what was the question again?
One of the new items? No. This
No. What was the question again?
Name one of the 4 new items.
Name one of the 4 new items. Oh, yeah. Stormrazor. Is it?
No. All right, go back to your teams. You guys can go back to teams. Give me another new item.
Static Shiv.
Static Shiv is back. 2 points to them.
Guys, come on. Tank.
You should know these are like all support items.
They are? Even Shroud? No.
What? You played Blitzcrank with me. That's not new.
Do we get points if we can draw the icon?
No, if you don't know it, it's fine. All right, the other 2 are Lifewell Pendant and Chalice of Blessing.
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
I know that.
It was,
Yeah,
it
so
was
those
gone.
You got to see, you know, the Chalice crest.
All right, get in there, River. Okay.
You may be a river, but she's a mountain. She's gonna put you into a stop.
Okay, here's the question. Ginsu's Rage Blade is a mythic item now, so it has a mythic passive. What is the new passive on Ginsu's? Do you know it?
No, I'm just coughing.
So I'll give a hint. It has pen. Can we help this one? All right. Son.
Gabby has her hand raised, Mark.
She got an answer from Rafa. All right, let's see.
Hybrid penetration.
Yeah, okay. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, but he was telling me he doesn't know any English.
Well, if you ever don't know, just you can press it.
Bad question, Mark. Just move on to the
They
next one.
broke the sound barrier first between contestant and team. So
Whoa. Jay was just coughing over here. Something was in my throat.
That's going to do it for this round of Are You Smarter Than an LCS Caster? We'll be back later in the day with more.
I appreciate that, Fuki trying to cheat a little bit for his team. Welcome back to the LCS Lounge. It's time for another edition of Draw My Life. So, draw my LCS and OPL life, Ayla. Bill Ayla Wynn got his pro start on Team Regicide in the Oceanic Challenger Series in 2017. In the 2018 OCS playoffs, while on Chiefs Academy, Ayla got the first ever support pentakill in competitive play on Pyke. After years with Chiefs Esports Club, Ayla ended up coming to North America in 2021 after Oceania shut down. In 2022 LCS lock-in, Ayla substituted in for Core JJ while Core had visa issues and won the entire tournament with TL. After a disappointing spring on FlyQuest, Ayla is now on an EG roster, ready to prove doubters wrong. And I think the big thing I did want to stress through this about Ayla is how consistently he has been this giant support prospect for so many years. And now we're finally seeing that come to fruition while on EG. For more on EG, I'm going to toss it over to Jatt.
All right, we do tier lists a lot. We have one player at the top of this list. This isn't a tier list, though. This is a player pyramid of early game power. I want everyone's reactions to this.
Okay, so this
What
is
does
early
this
game
mean?
rating.
This is early game, so JoJo's at the top of the pyramid.
And this isn't every player. Like, these are
For
good.
early game power. This is every LCS player. Like, that I'm ranking. Obviously, there's players that are off the
That's what I
LCS.
meant, is like you don't
the
have...
The pyramid, in theory, continues to go into the ground, but I didn't want to rank. I didn't want to make a 50-player pyramid. That's too many faces.
That would be really impressive, though.
It would be.
And
Maybe that's
really
next.
piss off graphics.
For now, this is the player pyramid of this many faces.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jojo at the top, he's first in pretty much every statistical category, is the catalyst for everything they do. I think Summit is there. Maybe you could pick on Blabber because he does have such winning lanes, but I feel like his ability to consistently get leads puts him on that second tier of the pyramid. Revenge, I think, highly underrated. Piosik, pretty underrated. And then, you know, the rest of the pyramid fills out. I think some people would be surprised to see Doublelift even here, but I feel like his early game performance has been quite good this year in laning phase. So this is just a new way to look at it. Any complaints?
I'm
I have a
trying to think of
question.
exceptions
Okay,
first.
Emily.
I don't have a complaint. It's just, I want to know your criteria, because when I look at, for example, I value Blabber super highly because of his power farming. Again, his ability to recognize when he has really good counter jungle opportunities off of his winning lanes. But River is a...
Sorry.
Wow.
Are
nice.
you-
I was trying to hold that in for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I thought you were making a choking comment.
No.
River is a jungler who I think of as an insane early game jungler because of pressure he applies to his lanes.
Well, I agree with the Blabber one just because he leads the league in kills and assists at 14. It was 3.6 when I looked. And so, yeah, that's insane. I think River plays around his lanes really heavily and helps them out in a lot of ways, but I still think I like the kills.
The reason I didn't put River higher in this one is I feel like his early game has been more inconsistent. So Blabber ends up getting the edge because he's consistently ahead.
I mean, I'm not even disagreeing with Blabber. I just wanted to know your criteria based on what I think of those two.
Yeah, I
junglers.
checked a lot of at 14 stats. I checked a lot of at 8 stats. I also just kind of eye tested it and felt out who do I feel like is doing a lot of stuff early.
I only have one complaint, and I think it's Unforgiven.
Okay.
Not because I don't think he's good in lane, because he is, but they don't play a very lane-centric style.
True.
I feel like if I really racked my brain, there's got to be someone who's like more flippy, early game aggro, doing like Rich. Like, is Rich a more aggressive laner? I think so. And I think he's got more solo. He led the league in solo kills.
Unforgiven, for what it's worth, is on here a little bit more from eye test. His stats aren't amazing early game, but that's because I think Armao almost never goes bottom, and he absorbs a lot of ganks with Ayla. Raph, you have
So,
your hand up.
now that I've got it in there, because Marco's not looking at me.
It's over
That's
there.
true. That's true. Look, that's fair. Maybe you should be an owl, Mark, okay? So you did mention that Revenge is underrated, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the idea of Revenge over Fudge is the only one that I'm interested in the early portions of the game.
Yeah, true. For this one, I think Fudge has actually had a bit of an off split. He had that game where he got solo killed twice against Rich. I feel like he's actually having a lot of bad early games and then arriving in team fights. So Fudge is like maybe a higher performing overall player, but in terms of the early game power, I think Revenge has.
I'll defend Fudge this split. When he was on the couch, you heard how antagonistic it is for him to try and get any support. He's like, I wanted Blabber to come top, and Blabber's like, I don't want to lose Gromp and stuff. And Berserker's like, you have to come bot. Top lane doesn't matter. He's like, I'm playing Renekton, guys. Give me one game.
Blabber wants to maintain his power at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
He's not giving that to someone else.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't know, is it Fudge or is it his team has inted him now?
yeah, we got a lot of Riches in chat. He is Hots Faker.
There it is.
Yeah.
Someone else can make one. We can update this throughout the split. If you like the segment, let us know.
We'll put all
do it
50
again.
players on.
But now we have a League of Legends game between NRG and EG, so casters, take it away.
What a player pyramid there.
Is that Mark just coughing
I
loudly
know.
into his mic on the toss? Thanks, Mark.
The disrespect from Mark Z coming into the cast. But one thing that you have to note in that pyramid, a lot of Cloud9 who we've known to have early game aggression, but a lot of evil geniuses who are the sole possessors of the #1 spot in the standings. Only 2 losses thus far, 1 to Cloud9, 1 to Dignitas. They've already gotten the dub over Dignitas to offset that first one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, EG has been looking really, really good. I think, you know, it's an interesting way to kind of just basically do a power ranking, right? It's kind of like more visually appealing. So I thought it was cool, Jatt. You know, I think as far as the early game stuff, people will probably get caught up on which player they think is better versus which player is better in the early game, because there's also a lot of Liquid on there. Liquid is really good in the early game, not so good in the mid and late game, but definitely deserving to be on there for the early game. We'll see, though, if EG are going to run over NRG early, because they had many more members in the pyramid, including the guy sitting on top. Jojo has been a menace this split. I think he's on the march for an MVP here. You know, I think he has really been looking outstanding. He's crushing people in lane. He's really playing well in team fights. I feel like the biggest criticism of Jojo, you know, not just last split when he had an off split, but even last year, was that he had a lot of silly deaths. And he seems to have shored that up tremendously as well. He's not really dying a lot. He's having very few ISO deaths. So he's kind of just across the board, giving you everything you could ask for from a mid laner. And over on the other side, NRG not having the split that they were envisioning. Of course, you know, this team, there were some changes on the roster, but they were 4th overall in spring, so they were looking to do that or better. NRG are sitting at 4-7 coming into today, so looking to try to improve upon that. But they've been so up and down because like this team has beat some really good teams, but they also lose to a lot of the worst teams in the league. So it's so hard to know what you're going to get. And I will say one of the players that I was so excited about in spring that I feel like we haven't seen much from at all in summer is Dhokla. I feel like Dhokla was really having a lot of standout performances in spring, but has felt like he's kind of a bit absent in summer. You know, not that he's playing horrible, but like he is definitely not shining in a role that has become extremely competitive. There's so many good top laners in the league right now, and if you are not playing on your A game, you're gonna kind of fall to the wayside pretty quick.
Where we just came off of a game where you can see the impact of keeping some of that control in that solo lane can impact the control of your team overall in the early game, and seeing how he can hold his own against Revenge, who has really come into his own on Evil Geniuses. There's so much talk around Jojo as this clear MVP frontrunner. Obviously, the MVP conversation kind of starts up in the second round robin, but every member of Evil Geniuses have stepped up in some way, and Revenge is willing to take that duel if necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be LeBlanc first pick here for Palafox, only a second play of the split. If I recall correctly, he had a pretty good game on it individually, but it was in a loss. We will see if he's still going to be doing the Shiv build. It has gotten very heavily nerfed, specifically for AP mages, and especially, you know, the dash interaction has been nerfed as well. So it's way worse on LeBlanc than it used to be, but people are still building it. So it'll be interesting to see if he is going to go that route or if it is just going to be more of the kind of common like Luden's Rush that we used to see. On the other side, it is Poppy, it is Azir locked in. Poppy really rising in priority. There's so many dash champs in the meta these days, and I do think it's really strong as a playmaker. Especially there's so many people that I feel like are running 2-threat comps, and if you're going to run a 2-threat comp and even get one person ejected by the Poppy, that can completely dismantle a team fight. You can also, even against multi-threat comps, you know, eject the flanker and things like this. There's a lot of opportunities for big plays, so going to be exciting to see if that does go to Armao. That's kind of where I expect, but definitely could be up towards Revenge as well if he gets the right matchup.
You can for sure create a point of vulnerability in these fights by bringing that numbers advantage onto your side with Poppy, and then Azir obviously becoming a staple once again in the mid lane, even with some of the bans going his way. I know that Palafox in a recent TGI interview also talked about you ban the Ahri against Jojo every time. You see what he brings out after that, but no reason to dip too deeply into his pool. On the NRG side, we've got Sejuani locked in and the Renekton here. So a couple melees coming through for the combo.
Yeah, I mean, they banned out the two most played from Jojo. You know, they banned out the Ahri, they banned out the Jace, they first picked the LeBlanc. Those are some really powerful picks for Jojo. He actually hasn't played a single Azir game yet this split, so it is going to be his first Azir game of the split, but obviously trying to knock him down from what they believe to be the S tier champs for Jojo. So we'll see if he can make it work on more of a control mage, something that is not as well known, you know, for being able to dominate in the early game, and that is really this guy's bread and butter. Put me in, coach. It is going to be Rakan being banned out, obviously wanting to take away that pairing from the Xayah. Unforgiven has been playing a lot of Xayah. It is actually now, with this game, going to be his most played on the split. So this will be his 5th Xayah game. He has 4 on Aphelios, 2 on the Varus, so only 1 Lucian game. So, you know, it is becoming really, really popular. And I don't blame him, right? When you're looking at the first 3 for NRG, it's a lot of dive, it's a lot of aggression. Xayah answers that so well. And we'll see what NRG are going to try to round out their picks with, because they obviously need to draft their bot lane. And on the other side, we're still looking for a jungle or a top potentially, and then the support.
And 100% win rate on that Xayah. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of 100% champs when you're Evil Geniuses with only 2 losses. But I know they're talking a bit about Unforgiven and the pressure that he can assert early game. I know I've heard Ayla in multiple interviews really give props to Unforgiven for also showcasing in the NACL what he's able to do, basically optimizing to get as much farm as he can, try and pressure his enemies in a way that they can't recover from, and we'll see what FBI and IgNar can do in that matchup once they get their picks locked to them. But as Evil Geniuses on the selection side for now, we know what's going in that mid lane and the carries where the damage will be coming from. So who will be setting that up? We've got K'Sante up top for Revenge.
Yeah, Renekton K'Sante becoming incredibly common these days. So it will be Poppy jungle. So we know the top 3 for both of these 2 teams now. It is just about finishing off the bot lanes. Jinx going to come through. What will the support pick be? So Jinx Rell So some very powerful engage drafted in here from IgNar. And now I'm just interested, you know, REG going to draft for the 2v2, or are they just going to draft some engage of their own? Alistar has become by far the most common answer. I do think there's a lot of other answers, and I feel like kind of a bit of a broken record talking about them, but Alistar seems to be the one that people do use in LCS. You can go some enchanter options if you really want to kind of more play to that 2v2. But I am just expecting Alistar, honestly, because it feels like that is the default. Nautilus is going to come through, though. Does give you that point-and-click ulti, really powerful against champions like LeBlanc, who wants to be able to distort back. That depth charge is going to follow you, and you can still do some things like hooking the Rell out of her W, so there's ways to actually interrupt and disrupt that combo, while still having that extra utility of that ultimate later on. So I'm actually more of a fan of this than Alistar. I'm not really the biggest Alistar fan. I feel like people are kind of just defaulting it a bit too much, so we'll have to see what they can get done. EG playing a little bit of a less standard comp for them. You know, they generally play more threats. This is very much so just like a two-threat, front-to-back style team fight team. This is more something that we've seen a lot of from like 100 Thieves and those kind of teams. Where on the other side, this is more something that I would identify more heavily with EG, where they have some early game aggression, they have some agency, they can potentially play through sides, look for picks. Of course, they can 5v5, but they're not really trying just to run straight front to back. You want to have people being able to look for flanks and picks with the LeBlanc, with the Renekton, finding multiple angles and making it so it can't just be this straight up front to back, where EG, I think, will dominate.
All right, NRG and Evil Geniuses coming in for the second game of the day. I know that Evil Geniuses have been riding such a high off of their victories. You can hear it in their voice when they're in the content. You know, Revenge sharing a lot of his vlogs, and even a couple weeks ago saying it's a new feeling for him being at the top of the standings. And what that does for a team environment that had a lot of doubts around them going into summer, it can put you in a totally different mindset of what you want to improve on, how you want to oppress everyone you're facing in this league, and focusing on that early game and making sure that you suffocate anyone that you're playing against is one way to really make a statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Revenge is a player that a lot of pros will tell you very positive things about, but the community was overall very negative on him because he had never really been on a good team. And when you look, you know, at his kind of tournament results, you know, I'm just looking even just on Lowiki at all his tournament results. It's like, okay, 9th place LCS Spring, 9th place LCS Summer, 10th place LCS Spring, 9th, 10th in lock-in. You know, it's like these are the kind of results that he's been having. You know, he did get 5th, 6th in playoffs in 2021, but that is about as high as he has really ever gotten. So it is going to be one of those things where it's like just straight up, this is already the best split he's ever had, right? This is the best he's been on as far as teams do go. And that is exciting, right? For a player who's always felt like he had it in him to be on a top team, to be able to win a championship, to be able to challenge at the top of the table. Now they're having that opportunity, and the same goes for a lot of these people around him, right? Armao has been stuck in Academy forever and has been at or near the top of Academy for a very long time, but every time he came into the LCS, he was fairly disappointing, and no one really thought he was truly going to be able to maintain that LCS level, so he's been overlooked. Ayla, of course, you know, was heavily overlooked after his split with FlyQuest, which was really bad. A lot of these players are being able to step up and trying to, you know, rewrite the narrative about themselves, so to speak. So I think it's a really cool story to see that EG is being so successful after basically erasing their entire roster that they had from Spring, which had such high expectations.
And in terms of kind of changing these narratives around these individual players, yes, there are a lot of young stars like Jojo that are still making a name for himself, even though he very swiftly created a lot of dominance within the league. But someone like Armao, who's been around for a long time, can fall into that effect of, oh, we've seen everything we can from him. But I think this is a great split for him to come in when we're coming off of Stixxay stories, for instance, right? A player that had championship experience early on, went all the way down to the tier 2 level, and then coaching to rise back up into the finals, and Armao evolving as a player. Ayla, for instance, when speaking in his DGON interview, was saying that he feels that Armao learned a lot when he was stepping into the coaching as a member of Cloud9, and even going into these other organizations, having played with Armao previously and now doing so again, he feels like he's a renewed player, somebody who has evolved in that time, and I think that's some of the highest praise you can receive. I'll stop on that thought for a moment. Revenge falling low, gets the drawback onto Dhokla. Contractz hovering nearby to follow up. Goes in with the Q. Flash for Flash. First blood drawn by Contractz.
Yeah, nice kill there. Revenge wanted to greed it out and stay around. He didn't want to actually base. That's why he goes down to the Tri-Brush to actually ward it. instead of just basing and TPing back, but he gets punished for that greed. Should have known. Contractz could have been up there. There was heavy trading. Contractz just skips his topside camps, goes bot 3 straight up towards top lane, finds himself an easy first blood there, and the flash off Revenge. So Revenge definitely going to be kicking himself for that one. Should have maybe played a little bit safer.
And it's a good look if you're on the side of NRG, because when it comes to their victory against Team Liquid, Ayla does hook down. Pheromancy allows IgNar to escape. Some poke offered onto FBI, but he can dish it back. Good sidestep of the zap. But for NRG, yes, they got that victory over Team Liquid, but I mean, you heard it in the comms after. It's a heist, it's a heist. It was that late game win. And in their game against TSM yesterday, it felt like Contractz nor anyone on NRG were able to make the early game plays. They just got stopped right from the start. And some of their victories come off of when Contractz clearly is able to get these leads into the lanes, facilitate, and find himself in a position to keep pushing that opportunity. But maybe they can do so here after drawing that first blood on the top side and bring that advantage somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find out. It is going to be Palafox going for the Shiv build. Of course, his hand was tipped. He's playing Fleet. He started with Longsword, so kind of already knew that, but it is, of course, confirmed as he gets the Kerchi's Shard. So he's going to be just looking for that poke, that prod. It can be pretty difficult to deal with, and the sustain is actually relatively high, you know, with a champion like LeBlanc having Fleet, because you can always get those Fleet procs on the enemy champion just by sorting forward, whereas oftentimes Fleet procs are wasted on the minions where it heals for way less, so it is very nice to be able to utilize it in that way, and it's one of the things that can make a big difference. Of course, it is very early stages, but he's already gotten about 100 healing from that, so, you know, is one extra charge of that refillable potion, and it's just based on the short amount of time they've lain, that's pretty darn good.
And now, after 5 minutes, first dragon has spawned. Teleport was just used by Jojo to get back to lane, and the supports have been unlocked from their lanes, hovering over towards this mid side. IgNar doing so to get some wards down, and EG pushing up on this wave. Contractz hovering in the brush. Does have the control to make sure that he's not seen, but you have the shifting stands from Jojo to be able to create that distance.
Really good sidestep on Palafox's chain. If the chain connects, then Palafox could potentially look for a flash follow, try to lock him down, then Contractz maybe come in and get something done. But it was not to be. They do push them out, though, and this is going to mean tough stuff for Revenge, who's had the base again, and Sejuani is between him and the turret. Dhokla's going to be just proxying, not allowing him to walk up. Palafox is missing as well, so Armao's going to come up, but this is a level 4 Poppy who's not going to have the easiest time doing it, and Revenge is stuck watching this whole wave die. He's trying to get him range to at least get XP, and now will get him range to start farming this up, but that was a good 3, 4, 5 minions that were lost. Another plate is going to fall. Excuse me, the first plate is going to fall there for Dhokla. So Dhokla getting pretty far ahead off his exchange.
And now Palafox has retreated lane, so leaving 3 of NRG, stunning up onto Revenge. And follow up here from Armao. Contractz hooked by the depth charge here. Oh, the dredge line managing to catch him. Revenge sending over the wall. Contractz gone, 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 baby, gone. A double stun. IgNar, not long for the world, has fallen. NRG losing 2 over here on this top side. Once Palafox had gone away, they weren't able to stand up to him.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, they stayed really long time up on that top side trying to punish Revenge, and the initial play was great. You can see Renekton still is 14 CS ahead, got the plate, but the overstay was just way too much, and the full roam comes up. They had been spotted, and I think at that point you need to kind of just retreat, but Armao comes up, Ayla comes up, Jojo comes up. They send the whole squad up towards that top lane. Revenge gets a kill, Jojo gets a kill, so Revenge is going to equalize in this lane a lot. So is helped out by his team from that early pressure that he was receiving. And the fact that Jojo gets a freebie off that roam really sucks for Palafox, because he wants to be bullying this lane. As the LeBlanc, you want to be poking, you want to be prodding, you want to be making it really, really difficult for Jojo, and it's not going to be the case. So Revenge went in early, took a lot of damage here, but did get some poke and slow on the squad as they're trying to exit out. They just can't quite do it. And then Revenge going all out, he's already down to half HP, is going to be able to take one over the wall with him, isolate him down, gets that first kill here onto Contractz. Jojo shows up. They can donate this one over as well, because there's nowhere for him to go. So Jojo in a great spot, has the tier 2 boots, already has Lost Chapter, so he's kind of in that comfort zone now on the Azir. And Palafox just going to be working towards that Shiv, where he's going to try to find some windows to really just chip Jojo down.
Yeah, good job of Evil Geniuses to offset some of that pressure, even though there is that slight gold lead still remaining for NRG. It's not in a significant way, as Dhokla was positioned to try and get a big lead up top side and still has the farm going in his favor, but Revenge garnering a lot off of that previous fight up top. And now that dragon still remains here at 8.5 minutes, so Scuttle has been secured by NRG side, seeing if they can try and bring this back towards them a bit. They know that Jojo is starting to build this lead for himself, just trying to emo a little bit. Jungler is still in the vicinity of this mid lane because you've got multiple objectives that you're trying to set up the wards for.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been a lot of attention around mid lane there from NRG. They are really focusing on Jojo, you know, multiple bans, the first pick takeaway of the LeBlanc, you know, and now in game as well, bringing up the support constantly. Rell is here again, you know, FBI as well, moving up. So they want to try to take this first Rift Herald here and potentially use that to kind of dislodge Jojo on this Azir from mid lane. Even if you can't poke that turret down, if you can get both Heralds, that is enough to knock down that mid lane turret and take away that safety. On the other side, though, Unforgiven is going to be given some alone time to catch up and farm a plate of his own. Will be basing now, so it looks like they're potentially going to make a swap to match because Revenge could be in trouble.
NRG once again spending time on this top side. Flash already used by Revenge, even hitting with the Super Mega Death Rocket for FBI to knock this one into his pocket. And NRG answering back on the top side. They got that Rift Herald, so now those plates are theirs to claim.
Yeah, they're going to get this first turret for sure, you have to think. Armao and Ayla moving up, though, so want to have something to say about it. And it doesn't feel like NRG is confident enough to stay around and finish it off. I felt like they probably could have done so, but maybe worried about Revenge TP flanking, you know, when he does respawn, or maybe didn't have the exact TP timer on Jojo, so worried about his response. But at the same time, you know, that did mean Unforgiven had another wave to be able to push out down on bot side. Jojo denies a little bit more CS, chips that turret down a little bit, and Palafox will be able to finish off a plate here in mid, so going to be able to get a little bit of an advantage there for himself now that he has that static Shiv completed. Will be ramping up that poke, ramping up that wave gear, and trying to lock Jojo in place.
Yeah, you could see that pinging that was coming out before that too, so NRG making sure they go for the safe play, and now keeping FBI and IgNar towards that top side. Dhokla down bot, matching against Unforgiven, who did get that ample amount of time to push up on the waves and try and get closer and closer to building his first item. That turret's still really weak on top side, and NRG want to capitalize. They keep denying Revenge so much, just locked between these turrets, afraid of what he can lose if he tries to stand too strong against NRG, but also trying to draw their attention as the rest of the team on Evil Genius's side do start up that dragon. So different focuses for both of these squads.
But I mean, EG are not getting nearly as much back. Like, Revenge is really getting kind of blasted in this game.
Absolutely.
There's so much pressure up towards top side. Another plate's going to go down mid. They took the full tower top. The early plates from the Herald Crash were shared, but the first turret gold was not shared at all. So FBI is way ahead of the curve now. I want to check in on the gold and see actually how much ahead he is. He is a good 700-800 gold ahead of where Unforgiven is, even though they're the same farm, just because of all the plate gold he got, all the turret gold he got there, and his cold cash out. So that is really, really big. And again, back towards mid lane, trying to look for Jojo.
Contractz hits with the Glacial Prison. Emperor's Divide used for the disengage.
Yeah, going to be able to stay safe. Palafox, I don't think, has the damage. I look for any sort of a follow-up play here, so just going to continue chipping away at that turret. Trying to get as much poke down as possible. Jojo plays it calm. Didn't feel they had enough burst to kill him, so it doesn't expend the flash at all.
Yeah, managed just to hold on to the Summoner, which means that he can be a bit more secure in his ability to farm up in this mid lane. But still taking damage off of the poke of Palafox. Knows that Armao is nearby, was just clearing out in his side of the jungle.
Yep, so just gonna be able to finish up this wave. He'll go back. He has his TP now, but
oh, now they get the flash.
Okay, nice reaction though to that Super Mega Death Rocket coming through cross map. Don't want to give that to FBI. FBI is already getting really rich on this Jinx. Armeo's trying to hold the wave, so he's just going to try to keep it here for Jojo to TP back to. Wants to pull it to the side. Contractz will be a little bit annoying, but because Palafox is going back to base, there's not really any danger for Armao, and this will secure that wave. Therefore, as mid laner, making sure that Jojo is going to stay safe. He's going to go Crown, which I don't really get, you know, against the Shiv LeBlanc. I feel like it's going to get poked off a ton. But maybe feels like later on in the team fights, it's going to be about the hard engage onto him and need to survive through that. So I think in the 1v1, it's going to be totally useless, like popped off instantaneously, right? But maybe in the 5v5, it'll pay dividends. So I'm going to be interested to kind of track that if they can actually poke it off him before those 5v5 engages come through, or if, he gets hard engaged on by Rell and it makes a big difference.
And Ayla getting engaged upon currently means flashing over the wall. Armao here to stay. Throws out the Keeper's Verdict. Teleport coming in for the Evil Genius's side. Dhokla already centered on down. Dominus in effect. Revenge draws him in. Unforgiven throwing out the Feather Storm. Multiple burns and locked here in the Riverside. And Emperor's Divide already thrown, but Jojo, he falls low. Triple kill for FBI.
Yeah, Penta.
A stun up here with the Glacial Prison. Make that a Penta! Second Penta of the day. Let's go, FBI claiming it.
FBI 13-minute Jinx Penta. That is huge for NRG. Nearly 5K up off the back of that. 6-0-0 now for the Jinx. We can watch the fight one more time. EG's execution was pretty messy on this one. The initial play, nicely done by Ayla, buffers the hook, gets away. Then in comes Armao. He ejects Contractz. They say, all right, let's take the fight. But it's a double DP coming through. Dhokla's responding as well. Armao's already chunked low. And how they actually manage this on the right side of the fight, Revenge tries to solo out Dhokla, but Unforgiven, is really taking so much damage from him as well. So both Revenge and Unforgiven are put incredibly low. Dhokla also got the cleanse and the ulti off Unforgiven, so he's not really able to re-enter the fight. And it just sets up for the situation where the Jinx is untouched the entire time, and there's nowhere for them to go. They get the Penta for him, and this has got to be a game that FBI can carry. He has been set up so well by his teammates.
What a great position to be in as Jinx. So much gold in his pockets right now. Look at that, 8,000. Next closest is so much lower. I was going to do some math, over 2,000. Yeah, Bill Gates really, really holding it down on the FBI side.
Yeah, he is rich. So we'll see what can EG do about this. They are known for their early game, and they have been blasted in the early game. A lot of the agency was on the other team. They were going more for this kind of scaling, slower style. Revenge really got punished so heavily in the top lane. NRG did a good job, with their team, getting up there, punishing him. They put a lot of focus towards Jojo, which honestly didn't really get them much. Jojo's still in a good position, but Unforgiven has been put so far behind FBI off of the early Herald, the swap towards top, donating all of that first brick gold onto their ADC. Now he gets a pentakill after that. So EG are just going to look to fight once again here. They're on the Herald, but could be in trouble.
Contractz already answering, throws in with the ult. Multiple knockups on both sides, but Ayla has fallen. NRG coming up on top in this fight thus far. Downtown, Rocket hits some. Double kill set up for Palafox. Revenge on the retreat alongside Unforgiven. And Revenge already separated by Palafox, who's looking for the last hit with some autos. Gets it. Unforgiven might find Dhokla waiting for him on the other side here with that wave ushering forth, but FBI still got that downtown input in the fight with the ultimate, and then able to pressure on mid side, a turret claimed.
Yeah, Armao was able to eject the Jinx from the fight, which was massive for EG, but they're just too far behind at this point. Jojo goes in for the big Azir sack. Looks for that shuffle play. They're pretty grouped up here, though, which allows Contractz to go forward. You can see Jojo scooping up multiple members. FBI going to get ejected right here, and you're thinking, okay, maybe there's some sort of opportunity, but Jojo's in the midst of everyone. He's going to get burst down, really early on. He's picked off. Revenge is softened up. Unforgiven has really nothing left to contribute to this fight, so he's just on the run, and it feels like that's about all she wrote for this one. NRG are now so far ahead. It is a ridiculous lead at 17 minutes, 7,500 gold. They're going to grab the dragon. They got the mid turret as well to add insult to injury. So EG just has nothing working for them at this point besides, maybe hoping Jojo somehow, some way can carry this game.
And of that 7,000 gold lead for NRG, so much of that is held by the carries of the team who have been throwing it around in these fights. You saw how ahead FBI was able to get early on as the team was setting it up for him. But Palafox, too, now becoming a huge threat that Evil Geniuses have to worry about. And now the Vision also getting aggressed in the favor of NRG, throwing down some of the controls, and Jojo just hanging out on the top side to try and prevent some of the pushing as Palafox is there to potentially match as well before hovering down to join NRG, who have the Rift Herald they previously acquired, trying to break up this turret so that the Herald can get a better crash onto the tier 2.
EG are TPing for this, though. They're going to try to stop this turret from being taken. I mean, they know they're way behind, so I think EG are the kind of team that are just going to look for fights, see if they can make something happen.
Armao's the one that's trying to do it. Jojo flashing to get back, and Emperor survives on multiple. Unforgiven throws down the Featherstorm, gets multiple en route, but the teleport coming in from NRG means they've got more numbers at him. Palafox going for the kill into Armao, can't quite find it. A stun up onto Revenge, but he's able to dash out, focusing onto the turret. NRG create more of an opening for them to collapse upon Evil Geniuses, who have lost 3. One of them almost close in death. Revenge has to go back to the fountain to heal, which leaves Unforgiven alone. Gets a little bit tagged up by the chains, but still keeps his life. In the meantime, NRG are claiming control of this map.
Yeah, Dhokla even able to backdoor that mid tier 2. They get another kill. You know, as soon as the TP was coming through, you know EG are just going to go for the Hail Mary. They know this game is basically over, you know, after that pentakill on the Jinx, honestly. So they're just going to see, can we make something happen? Jojo's going to look for it. Tries to go deep. Armao is really charging it ahead of the team. He wanted to see if he could get in on FBI and scoop him in. Does go with the flash, but FBI had the ghost up. He doesn't quite catch him. And not going to be able to get that kill. They know Jinx has no flash. This is maybe our one chance if we can find Jinx. But he was positioned so far back that it was always going to be a really long shot. I can't really say I blame Jojo for going for it, though. Like, this game is just so doomed from the position that their Jinx got in really early on. So now it's just up to NRG. Close this one out cleanly. Now, they did lose a game like this to Immortals back in week number 1, so they definitely want to make sure that they were really dotting their I's, crossing their T's, make this one nice and crispy clean, and try to have a quick closeout.
Yeah, try and not get too hyphy in the face of Evil Geniuses. I mean, this is the currently #1 team in the league for a reason. It's not just early game domination. It's their good play overall. They've had excellent team fighting. But still, it feels like you have to give props to Contractz and IgNar for creating that space for FBI to continue to rain down the damage, even when targeted by someone like Jojo, which, like you said, Azael, was the right play, but just unable to grab as much as he would hope for against NRG, who are now working with over a 10,000 gold lead and funneling EG towards their base. Get a stun up onto Armao, more to follow. Look at the damage coming from FBI. Armao immediately eliminated once focused, and Revenge teleports in the center of it all, but NRG will claim the life of the jungler before walking their way over towards the Baron setup here.
Yeah, EG just don't have enough damage, right? You know, Jojo's just on 1 item. Unforgiven now does have 2, but they cannot get through the front line at the same pace that their opponents can. FBI, if he's free firing, it's just going to crush you. He's already on 3 items and has an LDR, plus the Kraken Slayer, so going to be able to just punch through that front line that EG has drafted for incredibly fast. Nice stun, though.
Oh, they managed to get the stun onto Palafox, using the passive to escape. EG were really hoping to grab one their way.
Yeah, it was a good initial stun there by Revenge. The follow-up was there from Ayla. They locked down Palafox for quite a while. Would have been a nice kill to try to get, you know, get that 600 gold bounty. Maybe, you know, create something working for their team. But as long as NRG just fight together and honestly don't have like a ridiculously bad fight, it's pretty much unlosable with this sort of an early gold lead. You know, you drafted this front-to-back comp where you're trying to play, but like the frontliners are so far behind, the carries are so far behind. You have a 1 item Poppy with a locket. Not going to say it's the wrong idea, but it does mean that he is incredibly squishy. Your Cassante got put way down too. He's only on 1 item, so LDR Kraken Slayer Jinx is going to pretty much cut through the entire frontline like butter.
And NRG are still looking for ways to keep EG continually oppressed. That 10,000 gold lead, like you're saying, is just going to hit so hard at this point. And I think you do have to give props for the way they are taking a very controlled approach, even when rotating towards a Baron. Immediately, we're going for the play to peel off of it and look for an opening if EG did try to come contest, not overstaying. Also keeping that disengage available, keeping in mind that Armao is always going to be going for FBI, but FBI had so much damage that he's able to output from the back of these fights.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to go too crazy, but you also don't want to play it too slow, right? Because if you give them too much time, that can give opportunities to your opponents. So you definitely want to see them close this one out. They have more than enough of gold lead to be able to do it in the next, 5-10 minutes. It should definitely be over. We'll see if they're going to be able to do it, though. They are over onto the Baron. This is the kind of play you need to make. You don't have to hard commit to the Baron, but you have great tools to turn. You have Palafox's zone. You have Sejuani. You have flanks from Dhokla. You have hard engage from IgNar. So draw them to you, force that fight, win the fight, take the Baron and the game.
Many flashes on both sides. Jojo just using his teleport to get into it. And one ult expelled here by Contractz. Rue onto Armao. The rocket comes from downtown to chunk down UNFORGIVEN and Ayla, who tries to get his hook back into it. But now Revenge drawing one over the line. FBI just submerged into Evil Genius's territory. But the trade backs are good. 2 have fallen for Evil Geniuses. Make that 3. NRG say we don't just need FBI's damage. We got so much more. Ayla, the victim of a triple kill from Palafox. If you don't got Jinx, you got LeBlanc.
Yeah, absolutely. Revenge tried to go for a huge play. Was really beautiful. Found the Q3 flash, as able to isolate FBI, pull him back over the wall. They had the ulti from UNFORGIVEN to follow it up. So I love the chance at a turn here from them. Again, they know they're not going to win any normal fights. Armao early on was chained up, was burst down on the side. Dhokla almost died, but did not. And that ulti coming through from Jinx, softening up a lot of members, but a great buffer on the shift there from Jojo. Now watch Revenge. As FBI goes forward, Q3 flash, dashes in, ults him perfectly on the angle, over the wall. UNFORGIVEN, with his dying breath, gets the ulti off. You know, barely survived. Had like less than 100 HP, does get zapped down finally by that Shiv. Jojo got the shutdown, and it is going to be a 1K, so Jojo will get a big injection of gold, but you are still so far behind here, and they're going to have to do that multiple times to even have any chance.
Yeah, 12,000 gold lead now for NRG, though. You are going to worry about where Jojo can be as a threat in the later fights if given a chance, but NRG still working up these waves and keeping up the map pressure. You have that dragon spawned on the bot side too.
And 25 stack Mage Eyes. So EG just going to try to attack one side. Will force the flash. I think that's going to be it. Dhokla trying to look for a little bit of turnaround. Will pop the ulti. I think that's a bit ambitious, but this is traded for a dragon on the other side of the map. One thing working for EG is there wasn't really any early dragons taken, so they have a lot of time before they have to worry about soul. So really the only thing you have to defend is Baron. You don't care about dragons at this point. You can give up whatever. You're just trying to get farm. You're trying to survive, but Palafox is comically strong. I mean, he's 25 stack Mage Eyes. He's going to have the Lich Bane soon. He already has the Shiv and the Night Harvester, and now Ayla may be caught out.
IgNar slamming down, another rocket from downtown. Ayla hooking into the wall, but IgNar will latch onto him. Palafox still zoned off by Revenge on the bot side, but Ayla's life finally claims. Armao down to half HP. Means NRG are feeling good about the top side matchup. That turret already marked low as well.
I mean, Palafox is in a 1v3 on bot side. They can't even do anything to him, right? Like, no one can match him in the 1v1 on the push. He just distorts forward. He pokes away at the towers. He's slowly whittling down that base. And on the other side, you're losing too. So it is going to be back to the Baron. Armao going to look, but he's going to go down.
Good forward positioning from NRG in the enemy jungle around this Baron take. FBI and Contractz are able to hold it down on their own. So NRG securing the Red Bull Baron buff to continue pushing these lanes and controlling this game.
Yeah, this should really be all they need to close this one out. 15k gold lead, end the Baron buff, reset, spend your gold, group up, push it in. You can go 1-4. I think just send out Palafox to a side lane. The other 4 you can just group. I don't think you need to get that fancy with 1-3-1. Palafox needs to be able to draw to multiple members to him. And if you send multiple members to Palafox, you can get Dove on the other side. If you do not, he can slowly take your base. So even the turret will survive there on the bot side as Dhokla is able to come in and clean up that wave. For now, they're getting all the waves moving in the right direction. You can see Palafox already pushed out top lane. They're now grouping up, taking over vision control in this top side jungle. Dhokla going to be the one pushing out through bot. Looks like they may still want to play through 3 lanes, but I do think they have the opportunity to just kind of brute force it. Like, you don't need to kind of get so fancy, so to speak.
Yeah, there's no teleport for Dhokla yet, but of course the time it takes for you to rotate towards the team is lessened when you are this close to the enemy base. Evil Geniuses forced into some defensive positioning. They want to get the wards in their favor, kind of on these direct outskirts, because you're worried about the way in which Palafox can kind of jump in and out over those walls. But look at how Dhokla is able to focus onto that bot in him. And here on top side, Armao running into some trouble. IgNar using the Magnet Storm to secure the kill for the squad. And now Palafox pushing up from the mid lane means that they can claim a second inhibitor and the turret on the top side. They're just going to go for all 3, because even though Evil Geniuses still have 4 up, can they make a stand? and Ayla stunned up and burned down way too quickly. Palafox into the backline he goes. Unforgiven throwing out the Feather Storm. Double stasis from Dhokla and Jojo, but only one erupts alive. NRG keeping up the pressure. They've taken every single turret here on the map, looking to slap down the Nexus for a resounding win against your #1 team, NRG on top.
NRG with a big upset win here to end week number 3. Really well played by them. Massive carry performances from Palafox, from FBI. They got ahead early. They stayed ahead late. Was very well done. But NRG, just played a really solid, really intelligent game. They played the map better than EG. They're able to punish Revenge on the top side so heavily, zoning them off so many waves, taking away turret plates. They're reinforcing Palafox in that mid lane. Clearly, a lot of their game plan was about focusing on Jojo. They ban out 2 of his picks. They take away the LeBlanc. They're putting a lot of pressure through mid. And, they're moving this Jinx around the map really intelligently. You get the Cull Cash, you get the early crash for the turret plates. Then they send him back up towards topside to get solo first tower gold and get him even further ahead. So, even at that point, the Jinx was already going to be a huge threat. Then we have that big pivotal fight in the bot side river, a pentakill at 13 minutes for FBI. There's no real shot you're coming back from that point. So congratulations to NRG, taking another win against a big team, which they have been able to do a number of times throughout the split. Like, we know this team is good. We just don't know if they can do it consistently, because this is EG they've beaten. They already beat 100 Thieves. They beat Cloud9. They beat Golden Guardians. They've beaten all our top teams. They're just losing all the bottom ones as well.
And I think that NRG needed a win in this fashion, right? Not one that's some kind of late game turnaround, one that shows their ability to actually have a game plan and execute against such a strong team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely gonna be a confidence builder here for them. We just have to see, can they repeat it? AG obviously gonna have some moments that look a little bit silly, but when you fall that far behind, I don't blame you, right? Like, when Jinx gets a pentakill at 30 minutes, the game is pretty much over. So from that point, any opportunity you see, you're just gonna have to try to hard force. And if everything works, maybe you can come back. If it doesn't, you lose faster, but who cares? You already lost the game anyway. So for EG, definitely gonna be a bit of a frustrating game, but it is just a blip on the radar. They still had a strong week overall, and we'll see if they can bounce back from it. Also, wasn't really the style that I would say I associate with this team, where they are playing just kind of like a 2 carry comp. They're playing more front to back, more kind of like scale for late style. EG to me is more a team that would play the style of comp that we actually saw from NRG today.
Which it makes sense to be switching up that style when you're in the second round robin and you have such a strong hold kind of towards the top. Obviously, some fiddling that can be due there to prepare yourselves for the different looks of your opponents. But on the NRG side, yeah, you get the carry so ahead that early. I also love to see that kind of play against Palafox, who is always willing to say his piece. Gives respect to someone like Jojo as an MVP candidate, but also doesn't consider him to be this unslaughterable king, and showing out with the rest of the squad here today. What a game from NRG to keep themselves really in that fight in the standings, and what a broadcast it has been. We always have our other types of broadcasts going on, though, because remember, Vive la LCS. LCS en Español is the official Spanish language stream of the LCS. This new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. So scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. But for now on this broadcast, we are joining Palafox, Dhokla, and FBI at the LCS Lounge for our Verizon post-game interview.
Welcome to the lounge. We have all 3 lanes, representative from all 3 lanes.
Yeah.
From NRG. I gotta ask really quickly, guys. You've now beaten EG, TL, Golden Guardians, Cloud9, but lost to TSM again, Dignitas, FlyQuest. What's happening? Why are you beating the top and losing to the bottom?
we just try harder. Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a hard question to answer.
I mean, I think realistically, our biggest problem is consistency, and it shows on stage and in practice too. So I think as long as we can work on that and be, more disciplined in scrims, because honestly, some of them are a bit crazy. But, yeah, I think we can beat the best and we can lose to the worst, so it's just about consistency for us.
I do want to check out your Pentakill really quickly, so we're going to do Grubhub delivering win. Grab a meal while you watch the LCS and get your food delivered by Grubhub on time and at the lowest prices, guaranteed. Download the Grubhub app and use offer code LCS Summer for $10 off orders of $15 or more for new diners only. Terms apply. So this Grubhub dub is going to FBI and your pentakill. That's actually a nice photo of you as well. But yeah, talk me through this play, guys.
I mean, Nautilus is just inting here, right? So we just go on him and then just kind of just taking the fight. I don't know, like he's just right-clicking. That was a really good fight. Like that flash saves this play like completely. So that was really good by FBI. And here it's just like I do Renekton things. They're kind of just behind here, and we just have Jinx resetting. So
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah.
Looks about. I'm just right-clicking. I think Niship, Dhokla had really good comms here to make us confident in this fight, and we'll just right-click people.
Yeah. I mean, AK is a hard roll.
It's really hard.
Hype.
Yeah, wow, get hyped, guys.
I was pretty hyped in the moment.
Good, Vic.
Like, I was clapping like this on stage. I honestly camera got that, but yeah.
I feel like it's always the AD carry. Every time we have an AD carry pentakill, they're just like, yeah. Like we had Stixay on, he was like, yeah.
I mean, surprisingly, it wasn't on Xayah, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
I was on the other pentacle champ, Jinx.
yeah.
And
Or Kaisa. Yeah, I was gonna say Kaisa's
Yeah.
back in meta. My big question is, obviously, you guys had a very targeted plan to go topside. Was that something that you just decided automatically in draft? Because I was targeting IgNar, and he was up there constantly, along with Contractz.
I mean, I don't think it was a target. I think it was just like how the lane went. So like he just pushed his wave in as Kasante, so you shouldn't do that. So I just got a really good trade. His condition's really bad, and then Juan just swooped up for a kill. So I mean, it just kind of like you adapt on the fly and see what the situation is.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys a little bit about like you two in particular, about being together for so long.
Yeah.
Right? Because from the COG time to now, this is your third full split together.
I'm gonna add something in. My very first team, I played on Optic with Dhokla as well.
Yeah. And we go back before that
wow.
in amateur as well. So yeah, we've known each other for a while.
Yeah. Just how's the relationship going?
It's a love-hate.
Yeah. I mean, this guy loves to argue. Like he's very stubborn on his points, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's been a good time, you know.
Yeah.
What's been the sticking point this split? Because as we mentioned before, like it's been so up and down, and you don't need to answer that. The alternative question would be like, how are you looking forward towards the rest of the split and playoffs?
Honestly, I'm feeling pretty good after this one because it shows like how we can play.
Yeah.
So I think just going into these next weeks, we just need to really like get our shit together and iron this out because no one wants to like not make this split count. So yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think the teams are really close just in terms of skill level in this split. It might mean we're all bad. It might mean we're all good. I'm not too sure, but
Some of your games are really close.
yeah, a lot of the games are really close between like the supposed top and bottom teams. And yeah, I don't know. I think whoever wants them more is going to end up winning this split.
With you coming into the team, obviously, again, we just covered that Palafox and Dhokla have played together a ton. But you coming in onto yet another new team with kind of an existing core of players, what's that been like for you?
Well, I actually played with everyone in the past too.
Not sure. He's been
I actually played with Dhokla on my first year in Australia, so we go back further than you.
I forgot about that. That's actually
we go down under 8.
But it's been a really easy and comfortable experience for me because like I get along with everyone and we've all played together in the past, except for IgNar, and he's been a really good lane partner, so it's been good.
Thanks for joining us on the lounge again.
Thank you.
Congratulations on another big win. I feel like you only have big wins. That's
That's kind of
yeah.
Wish
That's
it wasn't
good.
the
All right,
case,
thanks
but-
very much. Up next, we're gonna have Immortals versus C9. So we'll see you then.
Now there's no flash. Look up, guys. Up. All no flashes.
Yeah.
Xayah some.
Yeah. I'm looking at
Look, it's here. No flash. Look here, guys.
Yeah. I can go back. I can go behind.
Yeah, keep going. No,
I'll tank.
Yeah, no, don't need tank. Wait me. Oh, nice. 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 Let's go.
Go, guys.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.
With Verizon's new My Plan, I get exactly what I want and only pay for what I need.
Now I'm in charge of my plan.
Introducing My Plan from Verizon. You get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need. And it all starts at just $30. It's your Verizon.